Okay, this is episode 4, I believe, of the Hours to Days 2024 Resiliency Challenge. And specifically, we're looking at increasing our personal resilience in a crisis from 72 hours of preparedness, which is what most government programs kind of suggest their citizens follow, up to 72 days of preparedness. And somebody pointed out in my last video when I was going through the list of checklist items for you to think about your state of preparedness in each of those categories. I somehow skipped over food, which was a little bit silly, but that's the focus of this video. And food is obviously one of the most important categories. It's one that you should have the most control over, and it doesn't have to be complicated. So again, one of the premises of this video series is that we're increasing preparedness at a low cost or no cost target. And what I'm going to do is just kind of go over my super simple no cost strategy to build up a 72-day food supply that you can rely on in a crisis. So let's have a look at how I do that. So one of the important things to realize about food shopping is that there's a huge discrepancy in prices from your discount stores to your premium stores, and you should never limit yourself to a single location. So for example, if I want to buy high quality meats, I go to my premium grocer that has an in-store butcher shop and I buy meats there. But for regular everyday items, a lot of stores carry the same brands, but the price is hugely different between them. And I recently looked at a website that tracks a basket of 40 common items between several different grocery stores, and you can see the premium grocery chains, that basket of 40 items was around the $220 mark, and then in your discount grocery stores, that same basket of items was around the $180 mark. So that's a $40 difference on $180 of food, and that's a big difference, right? So one of the important things to understand is the difference in price between grocery stores, but you also have to know that grocery stores follow a sales cycle. So there's not a lot of mystery into how often certain things go on sale, which items are most likely to go on sale. Some items don't usually go on sale. And also important to understand how sales are driven by special events. So for example, right now we just passed the Chinese Lunar New Year. And certain things go on sale close to that. Tonight is Super Bowl Sunday, and I recently saw a lot of great prices on Super Bowl type foods. So for example, strip loin steaks, which were $15 a pound at my premium grocer, at another premium grocer were $5.99 a pound for strip loin steaks, which is quite inexpensive. That's the lowest price that I've seen this year, and so I stocked up on them. And so the key to my super simple, effective, low cost, no cost strategy is to time sales cycles and to buy in bulk. There's no real secret to that. So here's the formula that I follow. You see an item that you normally eat regularly in a year. Okay, so I only do this for things that I normally eat. I don't want to build up a pile of food in storage that's stuff that I never eat. Okay, so I could go out and I could buy 500 pounds of soybeans for dirt cheap. I wouldn't know how to cook them. I wouldn't know how to prepare them. I don't normally eat them. So, if an emergency happened and all of a sudden I'm sitting on 500 pounds of soybeans, that's not really going to do me any good. Okay, so this only applies to things that I normally eat, and I'm going to go through some examples here in a minute. So I see the sale. First thing I do is I check the best before date on that item, and most of these items have at least a year before the best before date. And the best before date, let's remember, is not an expiry date, so that's just the best before date. So if something goes on sale and the best before date is like a year out, I buy a whole year's supply at once, taking advantage of that sale price. Okay, so I'm buying it at the lowest price and therefore saving a ton of money. Right, so you can imagine, let's look at, this is a good example here. And I'm not promoting any of these brands necessarily. Maybe Cabela's Bass Pro Canada, but none of these grocery brands specifically. But this is a coffee that I like to drink. Okay, and I go through one of these about every month. The lowest price that I've ever bought these at in the last 10 years was $6 for, and this is about a kilogram of coffee, $6 for a kilogram. That changed during COVID, as a lot of pricing did. And I watched the price of this coffee fluctuate. So it's typically $14, $15 for this size of container. If I go to Shoppers Drug Mart, they have it for $18.99, and they call that a sales price, which is ridiculous. That's more expensive than every other grocery store's like regular price. And then occasionally it will come down into the $11 or $12 range. So if I was to buy one of these every month, let's say at $12 over 12 months, that's $144. But if I watch and I catch these on sale for $10 and I buy 12 of them all at once, that's $120, and I've just saved $24 on my grocery bill, right? And also the convenience of not having to worry about buying coffee for the next year. And these are packaged really nicely. You can open one of these after a year. You wouldn't know the difference from buying it that week. So that's kind of the basic premise. Maybe what I'll do is go through a couple of more examples. So coffee, I'll buy a 6-month to a 1-year supply at a time. Sometimes I kind of hedge my bets. So I don't think I'll ever see this for $6 again. I think that is no longer reasonable. So I'm not holding out waiting for $6 coffee of this brand. When it comes down to the $12 range, then I might, buy a 1-month supply or a 6-month supply. But if I see it come down into the $10 range, which has happened twice in the last year so far, that's my opportunity to pick up a whole year's supply. So coffee is a good example. This is another coffee that Tara really likes. So 1 pound of whole beans of this brand, and this typically is going between $15 and $18 a pound. And about once or twice a year, it comes down to the $10, $11 a pound range, right? So that's an opportunity. Again, it's packaged in a Mylar bag, so it's really well sealed. That's an opportunity to buy a 1-year supply and save a lot of money, right? In my case, if I was to eat or consume probably 2 of these in a month, so that would be at $15 a pound, that's $30 a month. Over a year, that's $360. If they come down to the $10 a pound range, now I'm getting 2 of them for $20 a month, which is $240 instead of $360. That's over $100 in savings on coffee, right? Just one item in my regular grocery basket. Tuna, that's a good one. My kids love to eat tuna. We eat a lot of tuna, and as most of us do, we probably are mostly just buying tuna in can. Most of us don't go to the counter and buy tuna steaks. The best before on this tuna, and I just bought this recently before Christmas, it's 2026, like that's 2 years out. So I hit up a tuna sale, and the cans of tuna, my regular brand, they were less than half price. I think I was paying $1 or 90 cents per can, which was a really, really good price at the time. And I bought 2 cases. I bought 48 cans of tuna. So that 48 cans of tuna, it didn't even last me a year. And I would have eaten that tuna anyway. So now I'm sitting on a kind of a hoard of tuna, which is great for an emergency, but I've got it spread out over a year. My kids always had tuna for snacks or cooking, and I saved a whole bunch of money doing that. I think it was half price. I bought 48 cans, so I saved $48. And I could have bought a 2-year supply and saved that much more money and been sitting on that much more food, which has a best before date 2 years out. It's not going to go bad, right? As long as I store it safely. Tuna. remember the COVID times when you couldn't get pasta and pasta sauce? I stocked up on pasta, sauce and pasta right at the start of COVID, and then again partway through. So this can is going to expire this year in May of 2024, and it's pasta sauce that I bought over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I bought a couple cases of it. And again, it was a sale, so it was half price. I think instead of it being $2 a can, it was $1 a can, and I bought 24 or 48 cans, a case or 2 cases, and I saved $1 per can, right? And therefore saved money on my grocery bill over the long term, and also was then sitting on a good pile of food at home. Okay, a couple more examples. This is a popular cereal in my household, and a good price on this is $4 or less per box. It's often $4.50 per box. It's often $5 a box. But I know just from buying this regularly that it goes on sale every month or two. Okay, so I never buy it at the regular price. I wait until it's on sale, and then I buy a 2-month supply of cereal boxes. Now these guys had less lengthy expiry date. These guys expire in this year, about 6 months out from now. So I wouldn't necessarily go and buy a whole year's supply of cereal, but when it has those regular sales cycles, I definitely grab a couple months worth of them. Chickpeas, just quickly, again, you know, they might be $2 a can, and they'll go on sale for $1 a can, like basically half price. And the expiry date on these guys, I didn't buy them too long ago, and they expire about a year from when I bought them, right? So I would look at this can, I would think about how often do I use chickpeas, which is about once a month when I do, or once a week when I do chilies. So I would probably want to buy about 52 cans of this. Maybe I would buy 4 12 packs and get 48 cans of chickpeas, and I would save about $48, saving money, and then also sitting on a pile of food that I can rely on in an emergency. That's at my house. So that's another one that I use regularly. My mom bought oatmeal back in, and this is great. She labeled it October 2022, although I'm not sure if these are large flake quick oats or instant oats. And these are now have been in storage for 2 years and have a ton of them. Like, so I have a mission this year. In addition to my resiliency challenge, I'm also engaged in an eat all the oatmeal challenge. Oatmeal for breakfast every day. And the nice thing there is my mom bought this 2 years ago, and it's not costing me anything, but don't tell her that I'm eating through her supply of oatmeal. Here's another one that I stock up on. Popcorn. Popcorn doesn't go on sale very often, but it's pretty inexpensive to begin with. And if you've been watching my channel, you knew that I dabble in bear hunting and do some baiting with popcorn. So I always have, you know, maybe 6 to 10 kilograms of popcorn kernels in storage at my place, and I can just use up my old ones for bear bait. And in an emergency, I can pop a lot of popcorn for the kids and I, and keep us entertained and full of popcorn. Popcorn also lasts forever. Apparently I've had this one forever, because the best before date is 2016. So here's some popcorn that I've had for a really long time. This one's going into bear bait in the fall, and but in a pinch, I would pop it and eat it, right? And got that on sale. This was organic, so it's not that inexpensive. But there are some things, some kinds of grains and cans and dried beans and things that you can buy that last a really long time. Okay, so let's bring this back to the 72-day challenge. If I have a bunch of things that I normally eat every week, and I buy them in 1 year quantities, if all of a sudden my access to food for whatever reason, like a personal crisis, a regional crisis, whatever it might be, if that's cut off, now, you know, if I've got 52 weeks of individual kind of foods and I eat them every day, now I've got 52 days of individual foods. And of course I'll have extra kind of stuff around, so I easily have a 72-day supply of food, right? So just by shopping sales, this is zero cost. And in fact, if you're taking advantage of those sales and bulk purchasing, you're lowering your grocery bill. Okay, so this is a win-win method. Okay, I'm not buying freeze-dried packages of super expensive food that I don't normally eat and that I would maybe be uncomfortable with in an emergency, or if an emergency never happens, I'm just sitting on this food forever that I've never used, so that's lost money. I use this method with things that I eat regularly. I watch the sale prices, I time the sales cycles, and I stock up when they're at their least expensive. Okay, and this is easy. Okay, you can easily follow this method. If money's a little bit tight for you, maybe you don't buy a whole year's supply of stuff at once. Okay, but honestly, you know, like when these, if they ever go on sale again for $1 and you want to buy 48 cans of them for $48, that's not a big expense. Okay, and now you've amassed a bit of a food supply. Now, in a pinch, I could eat one of these a day for 48 days if I was in a crisis, because I would have a supply of them. Okay. Oh yeah, this doesn't also only apply to food items. This applies to other household goods. Cheers, everybody. So there are lots of other things at grocery stores that I buy regularly that are not food. So pharmacy supplies, household goods. So my same method applies for laundry detergent. Different brands. About once a year or twice a year, they go down like 60% off, like more than half off. So I buy my whole year's supply at once, and I just shove them in my basement. They're not going to go off, and I have all my laundry soap for a year, all my dish soap for a year. You can do this with toothpaste. You can do this with feminine hygiene products, which are one of those things that don't normally go on sale very often. You can do this with toilet paper. So these big bulk packs, these are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 rolls. So these are normally $22. And every month or two, which is about how long a pack lasts me, they'll come on sale for $14, right? So that's a pretty big savings. And so I just grab them when they're on sale, stack them up on my wall here, and I easily have a 72-day supply of toilet paper because I'm always buying ahead, right? I amass them when they're cheap, and then I just keep buying ahead, and I always have a 72-day supply. So just make sure that you are using a rotation method when you have that much food, and you're using your oldest stuff first and saving your newer stuff, so it becomes the older stuff as you are constantly adding new stuff to your supply. You should also use a loyalty card. I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't use a loyalty card. Grocery stores, basically, if you're not using the loyalty card, you're paying too much money for your groceries. I know at some of my grocery stores, they now have tiered pricing. So like if you use your card, you get the low price. If you don't use a card, you're paying a ridiculous price. And obviously they do that because they catch a lot of people who, you know, just for whatever reason, don't have the card, are willing to pay the higher price. But if you combine your loyalty card with your bulk purchasing, you will find that you might double up on some of your rewards. Okay, and a lot of those loyalty cards have extra rewards for large purchases and for large expenditures of points. Okay, so for example, a grocery store might have a points incentive if you spend $200 on groceries. Well, what they want you to do is to go in and spend $200 on high profit items, right? Maybe this is before Christmas and you're buying like cakes and baking goods and goodies and candy and chocolate and things that have a higher markup. Where this is to your advantage is if they have that points offer, but they also have some sales on some necessities, and you're able to bulk purchase a bunch of goods that are going to last you for 6 months or a year, and you hit that tiered pricing mark that gets you those extra rewards. So that works in your favor. Another offer that I've seen sometimes where they're trying to incentivize people to spend their points is they'll say, you know, if you spend this many points, we're going to give you like a 50% point bonus, right? So in other words, if you can buy $150 worth of stuff by using $100 worth of your points. Okay, but it's hard to amass that many points. But if you're following this kind of a bulk purchase system where you're shopping less frequency but making larger purchases, you'll find that the point system really rewards that, and you can take advantage of that. Okay, so here's an example. Recently at a pharmacy that I shop at, they had a points offer. So basically they were going to give you $10 in points if you spent $40 or more. Okay, and normally there's not a ton of things that I would buy in the pharmacy, but they happen to have these Advils on sale. Sorry, I got them upside down. Okay, so we use these on a kind of a regular basis, and this size of Advil is normally $33 for 80 capsules. It was marked down to $21. So basically, if I buy 2 of these, I meet the $40 threshold of their points offer. I just saved that markdown price, right, which doesn't seem to happen very often. So from $33 to $21, so I saved a lot of money by buying them ahead, even though I didn't necessarily need them at the time. And I got $10 in points, or basically saved $10 off of that purchase. Okay, so you can see that those rewards were kind of stacking, and it was a smart play item. Okay, if I just went in and I was like, oh, I'm out of Advil, I need to buy some, and I grabbed them at the regular price, $33, right, that doesn't really do anything for me except for hurt my pocketbook. But I was able to do a little extra minute of thinking and work that offer to my advantage. Okay, now you've got your 72-day supply of food. It's important that you are using a proper storage system for it. So again, as I mentioned, it's really important to use a rotation system so that the things that you bought the longest to go are the ones that you used first. That can be a simple shelf system where you take from the left side and add to the right side and just keep moving everything along in that way. So you're always eating your oldest stuff and adding your newest stuff to the end of the line. It could be you use those automatic can dispensers, so you can buy wire racks where you feed your new cans on top and they roll through, and then you're always grabbing your oldest cans from the bottom. Those are fantastic. They're inexpensive to buy, and they make organizing your cans really, really straightforward. You also need to store your bulk foods in a way that it's not going to encourage a horde of rodents to take up residence in your house. So I'm a big fan of trash cans, steel trash cans with tight-fitting lids. They're rodent-proof. They're basically waterproof for water dropping on them, which will just shed to the sides. Water can't infiltrate from the bottom. And I like to put them on rolling dollies, which makes me able to, even though there might be 200 pounds of food in this big 50 gallon trash can, or however big they are, I can roll them around with ease, right? I can shove them all into the corner of a room, and they don't take up too much space. If I have to get to one that's behind, it's a very simple matter of pulling one out of the way, rolling them around, and all that food is accessible. The downside to using those trash bins is it's harder to organize your food in a way that you're using your oldest stuff first and your newest stuff comes through the line. And you also have to be careful, because if you put metal items in a metal trash can, they will tend to corrode through contact. There's a little bit of electrical kissing that goes on between them, and their cooties are rust. So you end up with corrosion on your cans. You can circumvent that by lining your trash cans with like heavy duty plastic, or if you've watched my videos before, I've used bubble wrap basically to put on the bottom and around the insides, and that helps to prevent anything from making contact with the metal sides and bottoms of those cans. Oops, I overstocked. Case in point, I've got way more oatmeal from my mother's oatmeal supply than what I'll probably be able to reasonably use before it is no longer nutritionally valuable. Okay, so what do I do if I overstock? And this ties back to my last video where I was taking inventory. I went through my food, I went through my tools, I went through my recreational items, I went through my medical supplies, and one thing I noticed is that I overstocked on a few food items. So if you overstock, you can, and what I do is if I have some stuff and it's aging out and I know I'm not going to eat it in time, so that could be like I have carnation milk that's at its best before date, and I don't know that I'm going to get through it all at the rate that I use carnation milk, donate it to the food bank. Okay, there are lots of people out there who are really hungry and would love to take advantage of your generosity, and it's going to be good for you too to also rotate through your food supply as you do so, right? And in my case, I'm going to think twice before I buy 2 cases of carnation milk, because I did not go through it as quickly as I thought I would, and it got to its best before date. So that, in a way, is wasted money to me. I bought it on sale at a great price, so in the end, it's not really hurting my pocketbook, and I'm happy to donate that excess to people who will need it, and then I will bring in some fresh supply and just make sure that I plan it out in a way that I don't overstock. What else do I want to say about 72 days of food? I think that about sums it up. So again, it's not difficult. It's really, really important to only stock the foods that you normally enjoy and eat. I would stay away from stocking foods that are not healthy or nutritionally valuable to you. So for example, I don't go out and buy a 6-month supply of potato chips because I'm pretty sure that I would eat them all in less than 6 months, and that's not doing me any favors. Okay, so in a crisis you want to make sure that you have enough good quality, nutritionally dense food. It's a good idea if you want to go a step further, right? I mean, in a crisis you're not going to worry so much about your macronutrient balance, but you can make an effort to stock up in appropriate ratios of your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins. Proteins being one of the most difficult to purchase and store long term, I think, in my experience. If you have a freezer, I would encourage you to buy meat on sale or in bulk to save money. I'm going to do a video about freezer costs. They are very inexpensive to run. They'll help you save money over time. Again, if you're worried about a long-term crisis, then you would want to look at ways to make sure that your freezer is still able to run in a crisis. And we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. But food is easy. It's very important. It's very easy. So, you know, check your food supply. Think about what items you would like to have on hand, and make a point as they come on sale to just buy a little bit extra. You can just get your toes wet at first if you want to dabble in this. I'm fully committed to bulk purchasing in 6-month and 1-year supplies of foods when they're on sale. It saves me a lot of money, gives me a lot of peace of mind to have that food stored safely at home. It can take up a lot of space, so if you are in a smaller living situation, maybe you purchase smaller amounts, so you're still buying ahead but maybe not full year supply, or looking at creative ways to store that food behind your couch, in closets, wherever you've got a little bit of space. Okay, hope that was helpful for you. Thanks for sticking through to the end, and I will catch you on my next video. So I will be doing another 72-hour today's challenge video as well as other videos on the channel, and catch you on the next one. YouTube.